Okay, for this one I'm going to remove the connector from a battery just to demonstrate what it would look like. So here I'm just putting flux on the connector itself and heating it up. So I'm using a hot air gun at 380 C and like 30 for the airflow. You can see the solder get shiny and melt once it gets to temperature and melts. So then I'm just putting the connector piece onto the motherboard to just kind of simulate what we're talking about here. I'm going to put up a picture of the reason we're making this video is to help someone with a connector. It's going to look similar, but this one you can see is completely smashed inside the connector. So this is like an ideal situation. And here it's going to be super easy to flick out the broken connector, but in the case we're talking about, it's completely smashed in. All these connectors are similar, and here's a photo of what the connector should look like on the Pixel. So if you try to clean out those grooves, you may be able to use the connector again without having to replace it. This is all shot under a microscope, so it's really easy to see what we're doing, but this could be difficult if you're trying to do it with a naked eye. So if you can't get the plastic out or get it to work, this is how to replace the connector itself. So again, we're putting flux on the edges. Getting the connector off is relatively easy because we don't care if we damage it, but when putting the new one on we have to be very careful because it's obviously plastic, it can melt, and if we heat it up too fast it'll just melt and warp. And I'm holding on with tweezers, but super lightly. And I put some Kapton tape over that other connector. This is an iPhone, but this procedure is the same on any device. You'll see the solder get shiny on the left side there. And now I know it's about to come off. You can see I'm heating the ends because those are ground, so they're going to take longer to heat up than these pins. And I know I'm getting close here. And then I just slide it off. If you put too much pressure though with those tweezers, it's easy to smash the connector. So here again we put more flux, and then I'm using leaded solder, which is very important because it melts at a lower temperature compared to what comes on the motherboard, which is unleaded solder. So on the end of the tip of my iron here, I have a little blob of leaded solder that I'm just running over those pads there. And if you see those little gold spots, those are just test points, and they're on the Pixel as well. If you get solder on them, it's not a problem, as long as they're not bridging between pads. So here again, I'm just cleaning with a Q-tip or a cotton swab with alcohol. You want to use at least 91% or higher alcohol, otherwise there's too much water in it. You can see the pads there have solder, and again this is leaded, so it's going to melt at a lower temperature than what it came with. So I'm just using the same connector because I don't have another connector. This is just to demonstrate. So again, we're going to put flux. Flux is a necessity, you have to have it. If you don't use flux, the solder is just going to, it won't flow. It'll just get melty and like sticky. And then what else I'm going to do here, just heat it up with the hot air first, because we want to avoid putting as much heat on the plastic as possible. Once I see it get shiny again, you'll see here on those pads, we can remove the heat and then put the connector back and just melt it the rest of the way. So you get it shiny, and put it back, a little more heat, just until it kind of sticks here. There, I let go, and then we just heat it and it'll kind of go into place. And you can give it a little nudge. You want to avoid poking the plastic. Just try to poke metal ends or pins. Don't worry about that thing I flicked off. And you can kind of see it kind of shifts into position. Then just checking with my tweezers, making sure the pins are connected and tight. If they're not, they'll flex a little bit. Again, this is all done under a microscope, so it would be hard to do with the naked eye though, or harder at least. Hope that helps. If you have any questions or comments, just throw them down in the comments there, and we'll try to help you out. Thanks.